After 35 years in the hobby, I've discovered 3 things that have made my fish more healthy, more colorful, and disease resistant. If you're struggling with slow growth, disease outbreaks, and sick fish, I've been there. If you're dealing with those issues right now, wait till the end of the video and I'll go over 3 medicines I think every fish room should have. And what's nice is 2 of these can be found worldwide. Okay, so I want to talk about stress. Stress is the #1 killer of aquarium fish in my opinion. Yes, we have parasites, we have bacteria, we have fungus, we have all that stuff in our tanks, but really what is happening is the fish's immune system is breaking down, and that is what's causing stress to fish. So these 3 products I'm going to talk about today have all reduced stress in my tank. Now I believe one of the biggest stressors in a discus tank is too much light. You have to give your discus a place to go to get out of the bright lights. So they live in dark wooded areas. There's not much bright light. So this is built into their DNA to not be in the bright light all the time. You must give your discus refuge from light. If you can turn down your light, now you have to decide, is your discus tank a planted tank with discus or a discus tank with plants? This will decide how your discus will do. And never put deep substrate in a discus tank. It holds way too much bacteria, funguses, it'll hold parasites. But what it's doing is basically causing stress on your fish. Your fish will not thrive in a deep substrate. If you want to put a substrate in your discus tank, I would recommend a light sand or a light gravel. But even the gravel you want to keep to a minimum. You do not want to put a lot of depth in your substrates. Planted pots are great in discus tanks, but most discus people keep fake plants. Now, fake plants are not optimal as far as a plant person, but a discus person is going to be leaning towards those plants because it's about their fish. It's not about the plants. So decide, are you a fish keeper with plants or a plant keeper with fish? And that will help you out a ton. So being proactive in your fish room is the key. Reacting to problems is usually the problem and why stresses happen and immune systems break down. So these 3 items I'm going to talk about today are going to be crucial to helping your discus stay healthy all the time. Alright, so the first product I want to talk about is the bell system. The bell system has been a game changer for me because I have a busy life. I can fill a bell in the morning and by the time I get home in the afternoon, it's empty. But I've watched, and sometimes it takes a few hours to clean that bell out. You have to understand these fish want to graze all day long. They do not eat food and then stop eating. They want to be picking at food all day long. They're grazers, they're not Oscars. There's a big difference. So we need to give these fish optimal chances to eat throughout the day. They will eat slowly. So these fish are not designed to have a meal and then stop. They are designed to eat throughout the day. The bell system allows me to feed and not have problems with bloat. So the Sheller bell, what is the real benefits of it? 1, prevents bloat. 2, allows fish to eat all day long, which adds to better growth, to healthier fish. But the foods have to be quality. They cannot be full of fillers. If you're buying your foods from Petco and PetSmart, believe me, I've been there and I've looked around and there's like maybe 1 or 2 products I would ever consider putting into a discus tank, but even a regular tank, because when you flip that label over and you read the fillers and the crap that's in them, you're gonna sit there and go, man, why aren't my fish growing? Why don't I have quality foods available to me? And that's why I've created these products. This Sheller bell has been a game changer. It's the #1 reason why I can grow healthy fish from a little tiny baby to an adult fish. Now you're going to see in here that these fish right here, what's happened is I pulled their babies today. So they're a little stressed out, But what I also did is pulled the partition because I want this food to get throughout the tank, and I want them to take their minds off of their babies. And by having them with these other fish, it allows them to focus on something than their babies being removed. So you see them going around the tank. They are looking for their babies still. But by having the other two fish and pulling the partition, it allows them to relax a little bit because they're stressing on their babies being removed. But it was time to remove them. So the bell system is awesome because not only does it feed the fish slowly, but it slowly releases food throughout the tank so everyone can get food. This allows all your fish in your tank to grow evenly. That was one of the big problems I had with trying to feed most foods is unless you spread it throughout the tank, you had issues, but most food just drops to the bottom. Discus do not just eat off the bottom. In the wild, they eat off the top, they eat off the middle, they eat off the bottom. Now they graze the bottom, that is true, but they're constantly looking for food all day long. And they're in that water column from top to bottom looking for food. So a discus wakes up, its main goal is to, except for breeding, is to find food. Because you have to look at this fish, it's compressed, right? It's not built to hold a bunch of food at one time. Its digestive tract is very long, and so it needs to be filling that digestive tract all day long. And that's done by bits and pieces. That's not eating, you know, a big old thing of pellets in 5 minutes, because that's where we run into problems, is having that issue of discus eating too much, too fast. And once the bloat starts, it's not the food necessarily, it's the bacteria that's created because they've caused a blockage. And that bacteria is a killer. All right, so now I want to talk about the foods. You guys know about the optimal growth and the protein plus. Those have been game changers for me because I feed all my fish, not just discus, all my fish that food. But one food that we're not getting out as much as I'd like, and I believe it's a marketing issue on my end, it's the auto feeder delight. So I wanted to create a food that I could feed all day to smaller fish to help them grow. So I came up with this recipe, and it was about the size of the food, where small fish could eat it, but also that you could dispense it through a feeder and not overfeed a tank. So I have changed the name of this food. It is still for auto feeders, but it is called now Grow and Thrive Ultimate Worm Delight. Read the ingredients. That's what's in here right now. It's a little messy in the bell, but that's okay. So most of the food designed for the bell is to stay up. So all the freeze-dried food. Now this has earthworms in it, silkworms, bloodworms. It has almost every worm you could think of. So we want to keep that protein level high. If you look at the protein level and the fat on this food, it is the ultimate. You do not have to feed this food in a feeder. I feed it in the bell, I put a blackworm on top, feed it in the bell, and then also I'll just sprinkle it in the tank. So it's an amazing food, you guys. You have to look at, just at least look at it. So it's called Grow and Thrive, and I've changed the name to the Ultimate Worm Delight. Earthworms, blackworms, bloodworms, toothpick worm, silkworm, and then it has krill, cod, salmon, black soldier fly, mysis, plankton, gramaris. So it has a ton of just killer food. It's my #1 food in my fish room, and I love feeding it because it feeds all levels of the column, so the bottom to the top, so it goes everywhere, and food instantly drops. And something about the earthworms. It has changed as far as growth, as far as young fish. The earthworms have been a game changer, and that was introduced to me by another hobbyist. So the bell system with the blackworm cube and then the ultimate worm delight is a great combination to feed your fish. It's good for small fish, it's good for medium fish, it's good for large fish. Think of it for your large fish as a treat. You know, I feed it to my bigger fish 2 or 3 times a week. And I've noticed huge differences in the coloration of my fish, but also, if you ever see the discus shrink, they shrink sometimes because they're not getting the protein levels they need. And that's usually not necessarily the width, the head, but their body size. You can see them go from a nice, and they start getting smaller and smaller, and that's usually a protein deficiency. Could be a parasite, but usually the parasite is the forehead skinny or the belly skinny. But when a fish is just shrinking in size, that's a protein issue. It needs more protein. So the biggest, number 3 game changer in my room is fulvic acid. I cannot explain to you how I used to not struggle with disease, but I just noticed disease popping up in my room a lot. I want to explain fulvic acid, okay? If you've ever seen a real good, healthy discus tank, and in Europe they do it a lot. So they believe in humic acids, which is basically rotting lead. It's the fulvic acid at the micro level inside the humic acid. This is what basically keeps these fish healthy. It keeps their immune system up. I've been using it for almost 2 years, and I will not have a tank that I do not use fulvic acid in. So I can sit here and tell you that over the 2 years, my diseases have basically been banished from this room. I do not have diseases. Now, every now and then I'll get a bacterial issue or something like that, and that's usually because I haven't been keeping up on the water quality or something just happens, but most of the time it's from cross-contamination. Bringing in a new fish and introducing my fish to those new fish. The new fish always do well. It's introducing my fish to this strange bacteria that they brought in, or foreign bacteria. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how I've been testing this and finding products that will, I'm not going to say solve it, because I've only solved it 3 times, so there's not enough data to back this up. But I want to say that what I have seen so far, I can seriously say that it's solved it 3 times in my fish room. And the last time I did it was a fish that I introduced right away from a new fish coming in, and with 4 days it was showing those bacterial issues, and it took me 4 days to solve it, where the fish is eating now. So at the end of the day, fish keeping is about prevention, not reaction. Now, we do have to react when we see problems, but the point is to keep that level of reaction down, right? It's about the immune system. It's not about how many meds we can throw at it. I want to explain something to you about diseases. We are guessing unless we have a microscope. And even when we have a microscope, unless we understand what we're looking at or what we're looking for, we are still guessing. So if you're treating your fish just randomly, or monthly, or every 3 months, don't do that, because basically what you're doing is you're causing stress, and we'll talk about it over and over again. Now, if your fish is hiding in a corner and not eating and being beat up or whatever, that's why we have quarantine tanks. That fish needs to come out of a main tank and go into a quarantine tank. You're willing to spend thousands of dollars on fish, but you're not willing to spend $50 on a fish tank. That is the problem. We need to be able to always have a tank running on the side. When something happens, we have somewhere to put a fish that can recover. And that quarantine tank, the number one thing I could tell you is dim the lights. Do not put a bright light on a quarantine tank. So you are basically causing more issues, again, with stress. Stress is the number 1 killer, not parasites. Parasites are not designed to kill their host. That's not a winning strategy. I want to say this very clearly, that cut back on the stress. Do everything you can to make your fish comfortable, and their immune systems will kick in with great food, constant grazing, and the right fulvic acid in your water. Everything in my room gets fulvic acid. The guppies, the rainbow fish, the plecos. It doesn't matter. I put it in every drop of water that goes in my tank. So it's not something you have to treat the tank with. You treat the water going in, because at the doses I've given you, it's always in the water column, and the fish uses it as it needs it. Basically, think about it as black water without the black. That's what you're doing. You're at the micro level, and these fish thrive with it. So this is number 3. It has changed fish keeping for me forever. Okay, bonus. What are the 3 medicines or products I would have in my fish room at all times if I saw a problem or if I'm going through a problem right now? What would they be? So salt. Salt is something that every fish room should have. Now I don't care what kind of salt. You can go to your grocery store and buy sea salt. Just make sure it's non-iodized. So you can do 1 tablespoon to 20 gallons. I have gone as low as 1 tablespoon to 1 gallon in severe bacteria issues, believe it or not, and the Discus are fine with it. So globally, we can give our fish salt at any time. Now, this is where the planted tank comes in again. Obviously, if you have a planted tank with Discus in it, you're probably not going to go this route, but you've chosen the plants over the fish. Great dosage is 1 to 10. 1 tablespoon to 10 gallons, but I'm going to caution you with salt. Do not put it in your tank for more than 4 days. At 4 days, you want to cycle that salt out. And remember, it does not dissipate or it does not break down. It is in the water column until you remove it. Think of salt as a spa, and I've talked about this over and over and over in this video, that stress is the #1 killer. When you put salt on a fish, basically what you're doing is you're relaxing that fish. You're creating a slime coat, so a barrier, right? You are killing bacteria, you're killing fungus, but you are also dehydrating that fish. So be real careful with salt. I know there's guys that tell you to put salt in freshwater tank all the time. Do not do that. You are dehydrating that fish. Some of us that don't have access to medicines around the world, salt can help with parasites. Because what it's doing is, not only is it dehydrating that fish, it's dehydrating the parasites. And sometimes fish can get their immune system up and kick that parasite out. Is it 100% guarantee? Absolutely not. But it's something that you can do to your fish and it can help them. Basically what it does is it brings down stress. When you bring down stress on a fish or any person, anybody, anything, you're going to kick in immunity. So sometimes that immunity can be just enough to get that fish healthy again. So the next one is magnesium sulfate. So when I fed pellets a lot and blue diamonds were very prone to bloat, magnesium sulfate was something I could use. And usually with bloat, you're going to see head up, head down, bulging belly. So what the magnesium sulfate is doing is basically helping that food move through the system. Now I'm going to talk about a third one. And this is where this has been a game changer for me, because anytime I have an issue, which is very rare now, but if I have an issue with like cross-contamination, I will use erythromycin. The reason why erythromycin is so good is it's a broad spectrum. It kind of attacks every angle. But what I've noticed is erythromycin with salt, that is something that just basically kills everything as far as bacteria, fungal, helps fish relax. It does everything, kicks in the immunity. So that combination now it's worked 3 times for me with cross-contamination. The last one I did was basically took a fish, one of my fish, and I was so confident that it would work. So I took my 2 Flora Ultims that I got. Within a week, I introduced one of my fish, one of my grow outs, to that tank. First 3 days, they looked great. They were all eating. They were kind of picking on the new fish a little bit. Day 4, I noticed the fins started to clamp, and we all know what it looks like. They start to clamp. Their fins get a little scalloped a little bit, And I noticed that right away, and I went into just full-on mode of erythromycin and salt. Did a heavy dose, but I'm not ready to release the dosages yet because, like I said, it's only worked for me 3 times. But those 3 products are something that every fish shrimp should have. Salt, non-iodized, doesn't matter what it is. Sea salt to me is the best. A lot of people do not recommend sea salt in a freshwater tank, which just kind of blows me away because think about it. It has all the minerals in it. It has it has everything it needs to be successful because it basically gives that fish a boost in minerals too. Magnesium sulfate. This is a big one for bloat. If you notice a fish is up or down or can't swim right or can't be buoyant, that is something you use. Now, I'm going to make a caveat with magnesium sulfate. Over the years I've used it, it's about 80% successful. It is not 100%. And I believe it's about timing. If you treat the fish as soon as you see it, you are going to be way more successful than if you wait a day or two, because what happens is compaction happens and then bacteria builds up. So the fish usually dies not so much of the compaction, but of the bacteria buildup in its gut. So having that magnesium sulfate ready to go at all times is huge, because if you see it, treat it, you will have a higher success rate, but it is not 100%. Okay, I want to make that very clear. I'm about 80%. So 8 out of 10 times it works, 2 out of 10 times it doesn't. It's usually because I didn't either notice it right away or I didn't have my magnesium sulfate back in the day to treat it. Now I haven't had it in 2 years, so it's not something that I've had in my fish room in 2 years, but it's still always on hand. And then erythromycin. I know worldwide not everyone can get erythromycin. If you can talk to, it's something, if you can talk to a pharmacist and see if you can get it, that would be my best suggestion. API has an erythromycin.